So today I thought I would try to figure out what the exact grit of sandpaper it is that you want to finish out on with our block sander. And in order to do that, I bought basically the cheapest RA tester that I could find. Um, and it's not going to be absolute dead on, but it'll be pretty close. You're able to calibrate it and all that. And I did a quick search on Google, and it said what the RA number should be. But when I dug a little deeper, it actually ended up saying that Subaru doesn't actually put out that number. And the problem is that number is put out by aftermarket uh, head gaskets like Pro and different ones like this. So it's not actually Subaru's number. It's what the aftermarket is suggesting. So what I figured we'd do is open up a brand new engine from Subaru, K-SAFs from a crate, and we'll test and see what the finish RA is on the surfaces. They're obviously different from these surfaces that are mirror. These are not mirror. So what we're going to do is we'll set this up and we'll check that. And I already checked the RA on this one that we finished with 2000 grit. And so we'll compare it and see if we went too slick on it. I don't honestly know if that matters or not, but what I am going to do is try to figure out what grit will get us close or dead on to what Subaru does from the factory. And so that's the number I'm hunting for today, and hopefully this will help some of you out when trying to figure out what kind of grit to get. Okay, here we go with the first test. And just for fun, let's retest in the exact same spot without moving it whatsoever, just to see if we get the same reading. Yep. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip this block over to the other head surface, and we're going to do another 10 readings on that side. And then we'll take both of those numbers and we'll get an average on what it is. It's in between 33 is the lowest, and I think the highest was 78. And so we'll average out everything. So I went ahead and flipped the block over, and I braked clean the surface of it. So we're going to do 10 more on this side. So let's start now. Okay, so we have all of our numbers that we took from A and B. When we average out the A side, we get a 0.514, and when we average out the B side, we get a 519. Now, if we forgot that for a minute and just did all numbers and averaged them out, we end up with 0.5165. So 51 basically. And so that's going to be what we settle on as what Subaru's roughness is. The cheap tester is a give and take a little bit, but it's pretty darn close. I'd say if we are shooting for a roughness of 51 plus or minus you're going to be pretty good. So that's what we're going to measure next, is where we got with the 2000 grit. Here's our prepared surface with the 2000 grit. It's pretty shiny. It has a bit more luster than the OEM, so I'm imagining we're going to get lower numbers. It's difficult to be able to, for placement of that tool, so I may have to go ahead and pull these back out. No big deal, but we'll try to get away with taking a few just from here. I don't think we're going to do 10 on it, but we'll see what we come up with. Here's our first test on the EJ with 2000 grit, 0.25. We flipped the engine over. We're doing test one. This is side B, we'll call it. Okay, for the EJ, we only did 8 on these. It was kind of hard to find space. But when we average up the A side of it, we end up with 0.241. And for the B side, we end up with 0.266. And if we were to average out all these numbers, A and B, that would get us to 0.253. So we're basically at 0.25, and we needed to be at 0.51. So we are a little more smooth than I would like. Also, just taking a step back and looking at these numbers, there's something to be said about the consistency of the EJ with the 2000 grit block sander versus from the factory. We're getting everything from what was our low on this side, 33, all the way up to 78, and on the B we had 80 and a low of 33 and everything in between. But with the ones with the block sander, we're getting, it reads, 25, 23, 22, 24, 25. They're all very close. We did get a spot that had a 28. Same on this side. This one had a high of the 36. But in pretty much, look at that, 325s in a row. So it's definitely not an inferior way. I don't want to say it's superior, obviously. I think the factory knows what it's doing, but our readings are all very close to each other, a lot more close than on the mill or whatever they're using there at the factory. So let's see what we can do to get this number changed into that number and get into those 50s. I had a how-to video on how to use the block sander, and my dad told me he did not like seeing the WD-40 and the shavings and everything getting down into the cylinders. And so I agree. I decided to use a couple more paper towels. We use so many paper towels in this process. What's a few more? But so basically we got a half paper towel, half. This is one full paper towel, another full paper towel, 2 in each, and one here and one here, and then of course small balls rolled up to block the holes. Don't push those down too far, especially that one. Don't push any of them too. If you got to know how much is in there and exactly how much you're going to get back out. Don't lose paper towels in your engine. So we're starting with, and this is my old prototype. I still use it. It's not like the newer, nicer ones I have getting ready to ship out. But we're starting with 1000 grit. And something also needs to be said about usage, because as you use it, the grit seems to get a bit more finer or worn. So what we're going to do is just do 1 or 2 passes with the 1000 and check it right away. So we're only going to be saying, okay, this grit equals this RA. If it's new on here, we're not going to be using grit that we've used down and it's worn down or anything like that. So this is fresh. So we're starting off with a spray of WD-40 on here on the 1000 grit, and we sprayed the engine down and have it all ready to go. I've even experimented on just using water and it worked fine. But this is the lubricant I'm using now just so we have a solid base. This is what I've used before, so I'm going to stick with this. So we're going to be doing 10 each way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's check it. Get one there. Okay, let's see what a one pass test reveals. 93.93. So it's pretty darn high. Let's check a few more spots. 0.98. Okay, so it's obviously too much. Let's do one more pass. So I flipped it over, and yeah, I didn't use paper towels, but I was just really interested to see. I just did a test here. It was 54, and here is 58. The difference on this side is I didn't start with 1,000. I just went straight from what it was to 1,500. I figured one pass wasn't going to make too much debris for the engine. 0.42. So it's pretty close. Yeah, it's just... There is a note. I want to show you this. If we can zoom in. You see those two scratches that don't belong there? Right there in the center of the screen? That is from the tester. Now, you can't feel them, but every time you do a test, it definitely leaves right there. It leaves, I don't know if you'll be able to see these ones. The light is kind of wrong to see it, but it does leave a scratch. It's extremely minute, but it is there. And I thought that was kind of interesting. I thought that was kind of funny. And when you have it polished down to the 2000 grit, with the 2000, you definitely see those scratches on there. Okay, well that's a lot closer. I like that. So that's 1,500 right there. And that's one pass, and that was I flipped it on the other side and went brand new. So that's interesting to note. That gets us in the mid 40s, high 40s in that area. There was a 50 in there, and so I'd be plenty happy to send that. So that's just what I'm going to do. I'm going to do one scuff on each. I have the two heads and be done with it. Also, not too bad of an idea to use the block sander to touch up these surfaces on your intake manifold. Obviously not as critical as a head gasket, but when you take them off, put them back on, a lot of the times they get kind of pitted or dented up from the gasket. And so this was just a few seconds. I didn't even spray WD-40 on this. I did use 1,000, and then once it loaded up with the material, then I sprayed the WD-40 and used the paper towel to lift it just to clean it. But it comes out pretty good. I kind of like that. I'm not looking for a perfect finish on that, but it definitely does help to have that flat surface to clean it up real well before installing it back in the Subaru.